Thank you all so much for joining us with our CPOGS Training Tuesday. Today, our topics are going to include our updates and reminders, a solicitation due date, direct solicitation, withdrawal. We'll tell you where you can find some additional training opportunities, and we'll end with our Explore More. For updates and reminders, we have some remaining spots open in our upcoming courses. Notably, we have Procurement Methods Small Purchase on December 4th, Introduction to Illinois Procurement on December 9th, and Understanding and Applying the Commitment to Diversity Evaluation on December 10th. Register today to secure your spot. TAPS for vendors is held the third Tuesday of each month at 2 p.m., which means we will be holding one today. We will publish the trainings in our vendor resources on our website, which is in the Procurement Resource Library. That information, as well as our link to join live and those recordings, are all in the vendor resources. So make sure to spread the word to your vendors. Solicitation due date. That's what we're going to start with today. Section 1.2005A of the rules requires that all bids and offers be date and time stamped upon receipt and secured until the bid opening date and time. Fortunately, our electronic procurement system, BidBuy, handles this automatically. All bids and offers are submitted through BidBuy, which performs the required date and time stamping and secure storage functions for us. If a vendor inquires about whether their submission was received, you can verify this by opening the Bidders tab within the bid, locating the vendor's name, and checking whether a response has been submitted and received. And you can check that out again by looking at the vendors tab or the bidders tab. You can see all vendors that the bid was sent to. There is a column that records whether or not they have responded on the right side. Once the bid due date and time has occurred, you will be able to review all received vendor quotes with timestamps on the bid tab. All right. Per section 1.2005C of the rules, the solicitation due date and time may be extended prior to the original deadline for the convenience of the state. Please note that if any modifications to the solicitation occur within 72 hours of the bid due date and time, the bid must be extended for a reasonable period to allow vendors sufficient time to review and respond to the changes. Modifications include, but are not limited to, published Q&A or clarifications. When extending the bid due date and time, ensure that the change is made through a formal bid amendment. Update the general tab of the amendment with the new due date and provide a summary comment describing the changes before submitting the amendment to the SPO for publication. Section 1.2005D requires the vendors keep their pricing firm for a minimum of 30 days after the bid due date and time. Rules allow for agencies to include a requirement in the solicitation for vendors to hold pricing for up to 180 days following the bid opening date. The firm pricing period may not be extended without the express approval of the CPO. You would need to work with your SPO to determine if an extension is possible for your procurement. For RFPs where a BAFO is requested, the firm pricing period restarts because the vendors are submitting new pricing. Our goal is to keep the procurement process as swift as possible. Given ever-changing markets requiring vendors to hold pricing for longer than 180 days, which is 6 months, may not be acceptable or even practicable in many industries. Solicitations must be opened at the date and time published in accordance with Section 1.2010 and 1.2015 of the rules. Failure to do so may result in cancellation of the solicitation. Please ensure that the due dates and times you select fall within normal business hours and that you will be available. If you will be out of the office unexpectedly, coordinate with your APO and SPO to determine whether someone else can open the bid or if the bid due date will need to be extended. Let's move on to direct solicitation. Direct solicitations are addressed in Section 1.1580 of the rules. A direct solicitation is when an agency directly contacts vendors to alert them on a solicitation opportunity. Prior to the agency direct soliciting, the agency must first gain approval from the SPO. No direct solicitation can occur prior to the solicitation being available in bid buy. Overall, how can you use direct solicitation? Well, let's recall that when you issue the bid in bid buy, there was a list of vendors that the bid went to based on the NIGP code and other selections you may have made. If you have knowledge of vendors that may not have been included or feel that vendors may not be watching emails from bid buy, the agency may draft a communication that may be sent to vendors. The drafted communication will need to direct the vendors back to bid buy so that they see any amendments and appropriately submit their bids in bid buy. The communication must be approved by the SPO prior to being sent to any vendors and added to the procurement file. There may be times when a vendor submits a bid or proposal and decides to withdraw the bid. Let's talk about some rules and scenarios regarding how and why this could occur. Section 1.2005b requires that vendors request withdrawal prior to the bid opening due date and time. This allows vendors to withdraw a quote completely and not submit a response, or the vendor may elect to withdraw and submit a new quote. When a vendor withdraws a quote prior to the bid opening date and time, the agency is still required to keep record for the procurement file. Section 1.2010d further requires that the request for withdrawal be done so in writing, and again states that it must be prior to the bid opening and that records must be kept in the procurement file. Section 1.2038. This section further specifies that the written request must be received by the SPO. This section of the rules iterates again that withdrawals prior to the bid opening date and time are permissible. However, it specifies that if a vendor submits a request to withdraw their bid after the bid opening date and time, it is not a guaranteed acceptance. The SPO is required to review and determine if extraordinary conditions exist per the rules. Please note that withdrawals after the bid due date and time will not be ordinarily permitted. The SPO would base approval of withdrawal on clear and demonstrable evidence that confirms the bidder or offerer has made a bona fide error in the preparation of the bid or proposal and that the error will result in a substantial loss to the bidder or offerer. Again, this judgment must come from the SPO and is not a guaranteed approval of the withdrawal. The SPO must reduce the approval or denial of the withdrawal to writing for the procurement file. Thank you again for joining us today. You can find more training opportunities on our website. We again have our bid buy trainings that are available 24/7 on demand. We have 6 courses that we offer that are instructor-led. You do have to register for each of these, so you can find those on our website. All right, explore more. The Chain of Lakes State Park is a water-based recreation area acting as a gateway to the Fox River and the Chain of Lakes system, which includes 10 interconnecting lakes. The park itself features a 44-acre lake, providing excellent opportunities for boating, fishing, and paddling. Beyond the water, it offers camping, picnicking areas, and trails for hiking, biking, and horseback riding through the woodlands and wetlands. In winter, activities include cross-country skiing, sledding, and ice fishing. This is a wonderful place to go boating. I've been there several times. Who else has been to the Chain of Lakes State Park? Give me a thumbs up. Oh, awesome. I see some more. Again, thank you everyone for joining us on Training Tuesday, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.